want some of you to be aware of who just stumbled across this channel. I've been in ministry much of my life. I was preaching before 20, ordained before I was 25. If you'd like to know more about my ministry or what I've done in my life, there's even I'll put a testimony down below. It has a John Paul Jackson prophecy prophesying over my wife and I. I'm 55 years old today. Just want to let you know. So I'm not, just didn't show up on YouTube and I'm preaching. I have been in ministry throughout my life. Today's teaching is on the Nephilim. Now, I don't know about some of you, but there has been plenty of times, especially in this line of work, to where I have been taken inaccurately. It's a good word. Misunderstood. And sometimes that happens simply by something we say. One word, one sentence gets completely bent out of shape. People run with it and they're out in left field somewhere. They're off to the races and they're telling you, you said this. But yeah, I said that, but that's not what I meant. It doesn't matter, I heard what you said. This is what you meant. And you explain yourself, and sometimes, depending on what you say, sometimes people say, explain yourself. Because people jump to conclusions, right? That's normal. Now, if you're saying this has never happened to you, you're either a really young tyke or you just don't talk a lot. But it's frustrating, especially when you're explaining yourself to the person and you say, this is what I meant, and then they're not believing you, but yeah, you said this, so this is what you did. It's an insult. Do you know that? It's an insult. Because they're not believing you. It's almost like they're calling you a liar. If you've never had that happen, I don't know. You haven't been around very long. Again, I'm 55. It happens all the time with me, or at least it's happened. And I don't like it. Because sometimes you do need to explain yourself so nobody jumps to conclusions. Now there is a verse in here, in Matthew 24, verse 37, that Jesus says, and this is the origin, or at least the verse that is used to verify and or validate that the Nephilim are coming back. And it is, again, verse 37, Matthew 24. I'll put down here the verses as I go along. But it goes like this. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Now I got to tell you, if Jesus stopped right there, just stopped, ended, like many statements that could be said, that could be misconstrued or bent out of shape, there's a lot that could be inferred. Inferred, excuse me. And that is inference, is what we're referring to here. I began to write down the things, or I started to write down the things, and I started, because I kept coming up with something and coming up with something, and it began to be ridiculous. I reached a point where in my head, because it kept branching out of what this verse, but as in the days of Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. That could infer hundreds of things that I've changed. I'm not going to write it all down. But if you do, you just sit for a while and think about what this possibly means, you've got hundreds of things this could mean. And that's insanity. But see, I think God is pretty smart. I think God understands that this could mean a lot of things. And it is said that this means the Nephilim are coming back. But guys, God is a good author. He knows how to give an opening statement and a closing statement. And I want you to hear the Lord explain himself, because it's going to keep happening and happening and happening. And this matters. Listen to what he said. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For in the days before the flood, next verse, for in the days before the flood they were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage, until Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. Here's your closing statement. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Did you hear that? He gives us opening, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Explains that they were all partying and didn't know until the flood came and took them all away. So, closing statement, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Jesus bothered to explain himself because he knew some people would run with it. I used to deal with people overseas. And I'd have to, because they didn't speak very good English, I'd have to tell these people 5 different ways, one thing, over and over and over again, just to make different directions. I'd explain it different ways, and they finally would get it, because I used to just explain it one way, and I'd get these emails, and if you're dealing with overseas, they're always up when you're asleep, and it just took a week or two before I can convey one thing. So I'd write these 5 different things all in one email. They'd get it because I explained it 50 different directions. 5, basically. But sometimes people need 50 different examples. They don't hear you. They hear what they want to hear. They stop at this one sentence, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming Son of Man be. They don't hear anything else that Jesus said. If you bother to take the time with an opening statement, then you give the context. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, and partying with the Nephilim. Wait, hold on. No, it didn't say anything. It doesn't say one word about the Nephilim. And giving a marriage until Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. But God doesn't stop there. For people that don't get this, there is one theme to the ending of Matthew 24 and the entire chapter 25, which, by the way, guys, chapters were not written, and I know you know that. Verses, it was just one long write. One long write. Every story is the same, with one theme, one conclusion, the same result in each. Every single one. If you're not getting it here in the first one, he keeps explaining it 50 different ways. Go to the next verse. 40. Then shall 2 be in the field, one shall be taken, and the other left. 2 women shall be grinding at the mill. One shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour the Lord doth come. That was verse 42. Did you get that? What's the theme? Some are going to make it and some are not. 2 are going to be at the mill. One's gone, one's hung around. One doesn't get to go anywhere. One's stuck and the other one's taken. You're going to hear the same theme over and over and over again, just as in the days of Noah. They didn't know until Noah got into the ark, and the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. But God doesn't stop there either. He just keeps going and going. If you ain't got it, here's 50 different directions for you. Where was I? Verse 43. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would have come, he would have watched and not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready. Here's your theme. For such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, he shall make him ruler over all his goods. So one guy gets to make it, faithful servant. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servant, and eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day he looketh not for him, and an hour he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. One guy makes it, the faithful servant, and the evil servant doesn't. He gets to go to hell. Next chapter. And I know I don't get bother reading this. You've got to know this. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins. Please tell me I don't have to explain to you the story of the 10 virgins. 5 make it, 5 don't. And get this, on every single instance, there is no second chance. The 5 virgins that didn't make it, they come banging on the door. And God says, I don't know who you are. He say, well, okay, you looks like you want to come in now. You've repented? Yes, we can all come in. Thank you, Lord. Now, that isn't how it went. And this is discussing a rapture. 2 women grinding at the mill, one's taken and the other left. 2 in the field, one taken, the other left. That's a rapture. The next story is the talents. One guy goes out and buries his, and he gets to go to hell. The next one, God comes with the coming of the Lord as he's going to separate the sheep from the goats. Sheep make it, the goats don't. Oops. One theme, one conclusion, the same result over and over and over again. And yet we're saying over, and this, he was talking about the Nephilim. Please, guys, he didn't mention a word about the Nephilim. He explained himself. He opened with his opening statement and his conclusion, his closing statement. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. There is a third of the Bible wrote in prophecy. Did you know that? Written by numerous different authors. Numerous. And not one time, even though they're all written by different authors, they're talking about the same. Some of it sounds like it's almost the same. Of course, it is the same author. We know what that means. And they're discussing the same events. About all kinds of different events. And they're discussing them over and over again. Various different things. But one author talks about this. Another. Jesus in Matthew 24 gives us a list of things that this is what to be looking for. He talks about many false teachers, false prophets, many. It's funny. People say, where are these false prophets and teachers? What are you talking about? Do I even have to answer that? Could it be people who are shoveling us, like last week I talked about the fig tree, this week I'm talking about the Nephilim, things that supposedly are inferred. And not one book I can find anything about the Nephilim in the end. God even goes so far, Jesus, and says, there's going to be many false Christs, people declaring themselves to be God. And yet God forgot to tell us about the sons of God. God, really, you've really got your priorities mixed up here. You're going to tell me about some guy blabbing his mouth that he's God, but you're going to forget to tell me about the real sons of God. That's a mixed up priority. Hey, just saying. Really, Lord, you forgot to mention throughout your entire Bible, a third of the Bible put to prophecy, and yet you forgot to tell us about the Nephilim, the sons of God. That would have been something I would look out for. I ain't worried about no guy blabbing he's God, with the real demons and sons of God coming down. Tell me about that to look for. And yet people are writing books and CDs, and it's exciting teachings, and it's creating a following, and they're making the money. They're already establishing where the origin is going to be, where the Nephilim are going to be coming back. The sons of God are coming. They're going to be fighting supposedly in the battle of Armageddon. Why not establish first off whether they're coming back or not before you start diving through all this history and supposing the scripture's not even mentioning where they're going to be coming back from? Establish that they're coming back first. Don't deal with verses that supposedly infer hundreds of things among the Nephilim, and Jesus never said one thing. He stuck with the theme over and over and over again. If you didn't get it, oh my God, read the chapters. This is about the signs of his coming and what to look for, and the Nephilim don't exist anywhere. Can't wait until next time. Look for more to come. Don't take things out of context. Don't run with teachings that simply infer a possibility. You'll be in dangerous area. Till next time, take care and God bless.